Daryl Greene, the Math of Basketball class of 1998, the Math of Basketball assistant coach, Niagara University class of 2002, Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame inductee, owner of Green Light Shoot.
All right, what's up, folks? If you've been following me for a while, you know I've been sitting down with some local legends in this hoop thing here. Today is no different. Got my man Daryl Greene.
Yes, sir.
We in pretty much the mecca of DC basketball, the Mathis Gym.
You right about that.
The house that Morgan Wooten built. But I'm just going to talk to my man about his background, you know, his experiences, where he is today, how he's come full circle. You know, we just going beginning to beginning, man. We got a lot to get through, but we're going to get through it. What got you into basketball? Who's some people you looked up to early on?
My older brothers. I was the youngest of three, so I had my second oldest brother is 5 years older. The oldest is 6 years older than me. So my goal wasn't to play in the NBA at first. It was just to play outside with them. Like, they never wanted their little brother around. I was too little. I was a pest. So my goal was to get good enough to where they're gonna let me come outside and play with the dudes in the neighborhood. Like, that was my very first goal in basketball. Like, that's where it all started.
When did it get to a point where, you know, you started being competitive with the older dudes?
When I finally got outside, like, I played with my friends. We used to go outside and play, shoot around, but I felt like, not that it was really easy, but I wanted like more of a challenge as I started to get older and get better. So when I finally started playing outside 33 first, and then my brother, we started playing 2-on-2. My oldest brother, Matt, and I, we played 2-on-2 against other, like, his friends. And when I was probably maybe 9 or 10, they was like, man, Shorty can play. And they started like allowing me to play, and they were beating me up, but I was getting better. And I started beating some of them like in 2-on-2 games. So I just started getting confidence and just started getting better and better and worked continuously. I always had a basketball. Like, my parents was tired of me like dribbling around in the house. Like stories you hear all the time, but I was one of those. Like, I always had a basketball. I was always challenging my brothers. They was beating me up if I got close to winning. So that's just how it started.
Yeah, so I mean, like, you know, you started just, you know, trying to be around them. You know, you started having some success, getting a little better. But when did you start to realize, you know, you were like really good at this thing?
About that age, maybe around 8, 9, like I started playing, you know, we played county ball, and I always played 2 years older than I did. So the competition was always better. They were bigger, faster, but I was a competitor, man, early. So once I saw I could hang with those guys, man, and you know me, like, talking trash it just went to a whole nother level, especially to my friends. Like, man, I don't even play against y'all. Like, I really started getting good around 8 or 9.
Well, talk to me about your middle school basketball experience.
It was good, man. At that time, I went to Kettering Middle School, so, you know, I played for Kettering Boys and Girls Club, and we had rivals like Silver Hill, Oxon Hill, those kind of things, and for us, it was great. Like I said, I still played older, so like, it was a lot tougher in the beginning until I got used to like the speed and the physicality of older people. But man, middle school was fun. It's just like the WCAC, but it was middle school. Like, right, Kettering and Silver Hill, Oxon Hill, all those teams, we had good players from the area. We ain't like each other when we played against each other, so it was good battles, man, real good battles. Kettering was the best, though, let me say that.
All right, man, if anybody listening, he said Kettering the best.
And I'm going to keep saying
y'all can dispute it if you want. But so, you know, moving into high school, I know, like, if you play basketball in this area, DeMath is your dream school. But is it a possibility you could have gone anywhere else? How did the DeMath situation come about?
I grew up in Largo. So Largo High School was right down the street from me, Coach Lou Wilson. I hope he don't see it. He was mad at me for a long time, man. Like, he just knew I was gonna be the next one at Largo, and I didn't even know about DeMath, to be honest. It was funny that somebody came to one of my games at Kettering Middle School. They was like, man, you should check out this school after watching me play. And I came to a practice over in the old gym, and I watched Coach Wooten, and he didn't really yell, but he was loud, and I'm like, this dude ain't really, but he had a microphone on. and I had never seen anything like it. Like, not, of course, not in middle school.
Right.
But he was mic'd up. You could hear him throughout the whole gym. And I was like, man, they must like be serious about basketball. They got this dude in here like he in the NBA or something. So that kind of piqued my interest, watching practice, how hard they played, looking around at like the banners and the titles. And I was just like, I never heard of it, but it seemed like somewhere I want to be. And I was still thinking about my people at Largo. Like all my best friends were going to Largo. So it was a big decision to make, but I felt like at that time with my parents, even with the money that we didn't have, it was the right decision to make.
Absolutely. You know, I mean, it's some stuff you just can't pass up an opportunity like
Absolutely.
that. I mean, so, like, what did it feel like walking into a program with such a rich history? Like, was it intimidated for you? Like, what were your expectations coming in?
I'm not gonna lie, I was excited about it. Like, I heard about it, I heard how good people were, and for me, I was like, that's what I want. Like, I want to compete against the best. My best friends would come in here with me. A lot of them played football though. They played both sports, but they were mainly football. So it kind of helped ease the transition. If I was here by myself, it might have been a little different, but we had a group of us from around Kettering, like the Boys and Girls Club that came to this school. So it made the transition a little bit easier for all of us, I think.
Yeah, man, especially walking into that all boys situation.
Man, that all boys situation, I think that's why I'm so good at joning now, man, because that's all you can do. You got uniforms, everybody wearing the same thing. The only thing you can join, somebody don't have a haircut, somebody's shoes dirty, they pants too small. So, I mean, but it's like when you say it's a brotherhood, because you take out all the other distractions of trying to holler at girls in school and class, like it made you focus a little more. And the friends that you really had, like they're still my best friends to this day. So when we talk about it being a brotherhood, that's part of it. And I think the all boys aspect helped kind of nurture that, because that's all you got. Like if it's only me and you in class and we close, like who else you gonna talk to? Who else you gonna be around? So it really helps it be that tight niche of a brotherhood, I think.
And it's funny you mention that. Like I never thought about that before. Do you think, you know, the elimination of, you know, other distractions kind of lends to how successful they are in sports?
Oh, absolutely. Because you still try to find ways to talk to people or girls or whatever, but it's after school.
Right.
It's not like you can do it in school. So it helps you buckle down and focus on your work. And at that time for us, man, we was trying to hoop. So focusing on basketball wasn't a problem. Like you really can get in here and just do what you gotta do. And that's what we try to tell the younger guys, like use this time now to really focus and block out all the distractions. When you leave here, you can see everything else, but while you're here, just lock in, man, and there's people here that's gonna help you and nurture you and help you grow as a man. So it's the perfect situation, man, perfect situation.
And you brought up earlier, you know, your first experience, you know, witnessing how Coach Wooten operates. You know, of course, you know, we lost a big guy this year. Just talk about his influence on you and how you grew as a player under him.
Man, Coach Wooten he's your biggest supporter, you know what I mean? And he's a teacher, and he never yelled. That was surprising to me. He never yelled at us, he never cursed at us, but he was really sarcastic. So he knew how to get the best out of you and motivate you. Like, you know, today, the big thing is like you yell at kids, you curse at them to try to, you know, get something out of them and get them to really engage and come out of their shell. But say we're not rebounding one game and he'll come into the locker room at halftime and he's like, guys, listen, I know those guys are really big and strong out there. I know they can probably hurt you. And you looking around like, man, them dudes ain't. And he never yelled. He just like, so if you can just do me a favor, maybe just try to get a rebound, like box them out, like don't hurt them, because you don't want them to punch you. Like he was that kind of guy. Like, so you leave the locker room and you're like, man, let's go, man. These dudes ain't really. So he was more of a mind kind of guy. Like he didn't need to get you riled up by cursing you out, but he wanted you to think and kind of like motivate yourself. So he was that kind of guy. And even off the court, man, if you had a problem, you could go to him. His office was always open, and he was just one of a kind, man.
Yeah, man. You know, of course, I never played for him, but you know, I did spend some time around him. My uncle worked a lot of his camps, so you know, I did see how he went about things up close. And you described his temperament perfectly.
Yeah, man.
And like the rah-rah coach isn't always, you know, the best option. Like
right.
Some people can get things out of guys in a different way.
Absolutely.
You know, I just think like you said, he mastered how to tap in mentally to his players. You know, and if you
Yep.
can do that, then the sky's the limit, man.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing I took from him, and it's kind of my personality anyway, but that's how, I come at our guys and even guys that I train or whatever. Like, I'm not I'm gonna curse you out or I'm gonna just yell at you. I'm gonna talk to you so you can mentally kind of figure this thing out. So if I'm not around, you don't need somebody yelling at you. You can
Right.
self-motivate and you can know, all right, man, I need to do this, I need to do that. So if you can mentally get the kids there, I think it's way better and it's gonna last longer, have a lingering effect on them more.
And so, getting into your high school career a little bit, just like pretty much anybody else that went to DeMatha while you were here, you guys had a pretty good team, man.
Yeah.
Talk about them battles in practice with you, Keith, and Joe Forte.
Man, they were good battles, man, because they still some of my best friends, man, especially me and Keith. Me and Keith played AAU together probably since we were maybe 10, 11 years old. So him coming here for me was a good thing. Like, he was one of my best friends at the time. Greg Lomax was one of my best friends. He went to Carroll. Like, he was really good. So, like, battling with them in practice, it was priceless, man, because nobody's gonna back down, nobody's gonna give each other anything, and all of us thought we was the best. Like, nobody would say, like, you're not gonna ask Keith and he gonna say, man, Daryl was better, or ask Joe and he say Keith was better. You definitely not gonna ask me and I say one of them was better than me. Like, it's just not gonna happen. So, but to have those kind of dogs, for lack of a better term, for basketball terms, like, you're gonna have that night in and night out. We ain't care who we played against, because wasn't nobody gonna play harder than us. We ain't think anybody was better than us, and now you putting us together. Like, my senior year, it was a wrap.
So, I mean, you got that mixture of guys, and you all are top tier players. Do you kind of think it helps you guys' confidence just battling each other? Seeing that, like, you looking at Joe and Keith and they're, nationally touted guys, and you right here giving them everything they can handle. Like, what did that do for your mentality? Like, I mean, you're a naturally competitive guy anyway, but like, did that kind of kick it into overdrive for you?
Oh, absolutely, because all of us are talkers. So when we get off the court, whatever happened in practice that day, you're going to hear about it. So part of that was just like, man, you're not going to be talking about me at the practice. Like, I ain't going to be the butt of all the jokes. I ain't the one that got dogged today. So, man, everything we did, we competed, man. It didn't matter what the free throws, making however many in a row, like, everything we did, we competed. And I think it helped bring the best out of all of us, which made us better players. And you can't really, like, there's not many places you're going to go where you can find that in practice. Like,
Right.
You got to get that somewhere else where you go out of town and play and stuff like that. Like, to have that every day in practice is rare. And that's one thing I think that really makes DeMatha special. You get game situations in practice every single day.
Yeah, that's invaluable, man, because, you can't, it's really hard to simulate that.
Absolutely.
Like, if you're at another school and you're in practice and you're preparing to play against Daryl Greene, Keith Bogans, and Joe Forte, it's different
Right.
when you actually up against it.
Yep.
So yeah, you guys definitely had a leg up in that regard, just being able to mix it up with that level of talent every day. So we get to 96, you guys make it to the city title game, you lose, but you get that revenge back in 98. And of course, you had to show up, hit that game winner. Just kind of walk me through that moment, man. What did it feel like to get it, especially in your senior year?
Man, it was kind of crazy, man, because, a lot of people, they just mainly talked about Joe and Keith, and rightfully so. You see they went to the league, they went to the NBA, they were really good players. And Coach Wooten used to always tell, like, I remember the first time he was like, man, you don't worry about who talks about you, because for us, you're a glue guy. And I had never heard it before. Like, everything he told me was new. So I was like, man, I don't even know what that means, but whatever, it's cool. And, he kind of went in and talked about, like, holding people together and being the center of the team and, like, just explaining what it was. So, I just accepted that role, and it was cool. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was hard at first because of how competitive I was, but I think doing that helped me mature a little sooner than I would have. So being able to do that, being able to, my senior year, be a big part of that and hit that game-winning shot, I think my dad probably was the happiest dude in the gym. Like, my mom is the loud, come on, do this, do that. And he's the one that just sits there. He might clap a little bit, but this dude ran on the court.
Damn.
So for me, that was like I did something to make this dude show some emotion. Like it was a big moment for all of us, because they're to this day my biggest supporters. They saw my progression. They saw how good I was. So that moment for me was major, man. Like it's something I'll never forget. I'll never forget that moment.
And you kind of touched on something I wanted to get into. Like, you're a great player in your own right, but you kind of were relegated to like you said, the glue guy role. Like, was it ever a time in your mind where it was just kind of frustrating, where you felt like you should be like the #1 guy here, or maybe if you went somewhere else and had the opportunity to be the #1 guy, did those thoughts ever creep in?
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Especially when Largo High School, I could have went there and started and been a star. Like, and all my friends are telling me that, like, man, you need to leave. And my senior year, I started. I think it was like the first 9-10 games. We were undefeated, 9-10-0, and Coach Wooten was like, I think we played at Surrattsville. He's like, we're gonna switch it up a little bit. We're gonna switch the lineups. And I'm looking around like, all right, fine. Like, switch whatever you're gonna switch, not knowing that I was gonna be, one of the guys switched. And at first I was mad. I ain't gonna lie, I was pissed, and I was gonna leave. And I was like, there's no way you're gonna tell me I'm about to come off the bench. And I know I'm one of the best players, not only on this team, but in this area. And it wasn't until he sat me down and explained what kind of a 6-man role was and why he wanted to do it, and how, man, it's great how we start off games and we're always winning, but when we're in dog fights, we need something off the bench. And I'm like, all right, well, then they got to do better when they come in the game. Like, why you telling me that? I'm a young kid, I don't understand it, but I accepted the role. I was a 6-man. Like, I might have came in the game 2 minutes after it started and played the rest of the half, so it wasn't like I really was on the bench. I played starters minutes, same thing the second half. I always finished the game, but again, I didn't know it, but he was just preparing me, man, for life. You know what I'm saying? Like, you might not always be that star, but as long as you finish, you know what I'm saying? And that's why I first heard it ain't who started, it's who finishes. And at first I was like, man, somebody who ain't good came up with that. Like, nobody that good gonna come up with something that good. But I understood it, you know what I'm saying? I understood it, I accepted it. I even went home and told my parents, like, I'm gone. Ain't no way I'm coming off the bench. Like, I'm better. My dad is like, man, one thing we don't do, we don't quit. If you telling me you good and you telling me you're better, then you're gonna have to show him, and you have to give him a reason not to take you off that floor. So when you go in the game, you better produce and show him you should be starting. So talking to him and my mom and my older brothers, they were the same way. Like, ain't no way you gonna quit. Like, you're not going to Largo. I don't care. Like, they were ready to fight me. So I come back to practice. I'm still like, yeah, whatever. First 2 practices, I'm just goofing off. I'm like, whatever, coach. But I finally settled into that role, and man, I feel like it helped me tremendously, as well as the team. Like, I feel like the team did better because I wasn't a distraction. Everybody knew how I felt about it, but I just accepted it, and it helped me excel. It helped me see the game better, because now I'm looking at the little nuances of the game. It's helping me think the game more than just I'm hyped just to go out there, because now you gotta play catch up. Everybody else is warm. Everybody is figuring stuff out. So I'm looking at angles and where I can see myself. If we run in this play, what I can get out of it, what he can get out of it. So it made me a better player. It might sound funny today, because everybody wants to start, but it helped me coming off the bench, helped me be a better player. It definitely helped me be a better player.
Yeah, man, I think that's that's a great story to have, because I can imagine a lot of kids struggle with that. Like, they think they should have a certain role, but they're probably best served in another role, and they just can't see it because of the tunnel vision. Yep. But with guys like you on the bench and Coach Jones to kind of walk them through those type of things, it's good that you have firsthand experience and stuff like that.
Yeah, man, because I understand the distractions. Like, where your friends are telling you should start, your parents are telling you should start, or if not, you should leave. It happens so much today, and I'm just thankful that my circle was the opposite. They like, you're not leaving. I don't care how unfair you think it was. I don't care what you think about the decision. You made a decision to come here, and you're going to finish it, and you're going to work your way through it. And that's what I try to tell the tell our guys. A lot of them get frustrated with different roles, but whatever best serves this team, and if we're successful, everybody's gonna get everything that they want. But we as a team have to be successful, and to do that, you got to sacrifice.
Absolutely. All right, man. You finally got that chip your senior year. Would you consider that some unfinished business? If you guys weren't able to get that.
Oh yeah, I would have been sick if we didn't get that. Like I was sick that we lost the game. We were 34-1 that year, and we really should have been 35-0. But not winning that championship, that would have hurt. So going out my senior year as a champion, and then we played Anacostia, who for DC, they were the best team. They had Cato June, Dante Smith, those guys, like they were really good. So going into the game, people thought, oh nah, DeMatha gonna lose. Like they gonna be tougher than y'all, they better, they from the city. And I mean, you can look it up and you'll see what happened. Not to take nothing away from them, but we were just as tough, if not tougher. We played together, like we was on a mission. Wasn't nobody gonna stop us from winning that championship. You ask anybody on that team, I don't care who we played. My senior year, it wasn't happening. Nobody in this area was gonna beat us.
So, started to get into your recruiting process. Well, was it anywhere else you considered other than Niagara?
Yeah, I considered going to Iona. I took a visit out there. Coach Jeff Rulin, he was the coach at the time, and he had NBA ties because he played in the league. Iona was a good team for that conference, but when I went to visit, I had too good a time. You know what I'm saying? Like off the court, I wouldn't have made it. Like I needed somewhere where it was gonna be like here, like basketball. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like being at DeMatha, it's like you get conditioned to a certain way, and like basketball was my focus, so I needed to go somewhere where those distractions would be limited. They gonna be there, but like I went on my visit, I'm in the club and DMX there. Like I'm meeting him and he performing. Like there's no way I'm gonna have access to stars and I'm gonna do schoolwork too. No chance. So I visited Niagara. Coach Joe Mahalik, he was an assistant for Coach Wooten. I didn't know about Niagara again. As you can see the theme, like Coach Wooten, he's introducing me to all this kind of stuff. But Coach Mahalik, I went and visited Niagara and we just clicked. It was his first year there. I was his first recruit there to Niagara. And I mean, it was isolated. Nobody's coming up there to see me but my parents. It ain't like I'm coming home and driving 8 hours. So I was able to just kind of lock in when I got there. But it was a moment I thought I was gonna go to Georgetown, man. And I mentioned John Thompson was there. Like it was really close, and my parents were kind of excited about it, but it didn't happen. You know what I mean? And I think it was for the best. I would have loved for my family, for me to be here and my family to see me, but again, for me, it was about focus and that isolation. It just is what I needed. That's the kind of person I am. I'm not be around a whole bunch of people, go to parties every time. Like I'm a kind of isolated guy, so when I need to focus on something, I know how to do it. And Niagara was the best thing for me, I felt.
So just going into your freshman season, like what's some of the biggest adjustments you noticed that you had to make going from like the high school level to the college level?
The speed of the game was different. My approach to the game, like every single day, like I couldn't come to practice joking around. Like it was dudes in there who had missions too. Like my freshman year, we had a point guard that was a senior. We had another two guard that was a senior, and they were really good, and they were trying to get to the league. So as soon as I come there, like, boom, you in the fire. Like, it ain't Keith and Joe where y'all know each other. Now it's Jeremiah and Alvin Young, who's one of my best friends and one of my big brothers to this day. Now I'm competing against them, but they trying to get to the NBA. So I remember my first 2 weeks, probably the point guard, we almost fought. Like, they had to break us up because it was that intense. Like, he felt like it was his team, and I felt like, well, he recruited me, so it can't be just your team. It got to be somebody else's team. So we was competing, man, and it was tough at first. So I didn't play a lot in the beginning because those guys played, and I got a chance to play against Canisius, who was a rival of Niagara, and I think I might have only had like 8 or 10 points, and we won. And everybody was like, man, Daryl Greene, I'm doing interviews. I'm like, what? I only scored like 8 points, but it kind of helped me like, oh, all right, now I can see like the team it's like, okay, the young fella can play a little bit and that kind of thing. So from that moment, man, things just took off for me. Like coach started playing me more. Everything from that moment just took off.
All right. So yeah, in that conference, one of my best friends went to St. Peter's.
Oh, okay.
Tell me you gave them hell at least once throughout your college career.
I gave everybody I played against hell. They'll tell you. You ask people that played against me in college, and they'll tell you I gave all of them hell.
Yeah, I need some bragging rights, man.
Yeah, you can brag, especially St. Peter's. You can brag. You can brag about it.
Matter of fact, I think y'all was in college at the same time.
What's his name?
Dante Johnson.
Dante.
He ain't play.
Oh, okay.
I'm definitely gonna let him know about it.
Let them know.
Chat.
Daryl Greene.
My man
St. Peter's know. St. Peter's know. They know.
So you talked about Alvin Young being there, and he was wreaking havoc.
Man.
But just talk about going into your sophomore season, he's no longer there. You had to kind of move into more of a leadership role and take over some of the scoring load. Like what was that for? You were kind of excited, or like did you have some apprehensions? Just kind of walk me through that.
Man, I was excited. I couldn't wait. Like I felt like my freshman year, I waited my turn. You know what I'm saying? I did what I had to do. But my sophomore year, I was ready. We had a guy by the name of DeMond Stewart. He had transferred in, so my freshman year he couldn't play. So all he did was practice. So him and I was always on the second team together. Man, we used to go at them like every day. So having him, knowing he was gonna be the two guard and I was gonna be the point guard, I was like, oh yeah, it's time for us to rock. And again, DeMond is one of my best friends, a big brother to me. He's from Rochester, New York.
Okay.
Yeah, we had a good time, and we had a good year my sophomore year. That's when the buzz started going like outside of Niagara about me, like magazines talking about us. And like at one point I think we were maybe like the second highest scoring backcourt in the nation. You know what I mean? So that kind of tells you how we started off, and it was just good, man. I was ready. I was ready. I felt like I worked hard enough for it, and I was ready for it.
Yeah, because you that sophomore year you got busy, man.
Yeah.
Like it was just a huge jump, from freshman to sophomore.
I should have left. I should have left because I got hurt my junior year. I always think about it. I should at least tested it. At least tested the waters, but it's all good.
So like you brought up your the injuries your junior year, and that's got to be a tough situation where you're coming off such a great season, and then you walk into the third year where you just kind of slowed down, basically off of nothing you can control. Just talk about where you were mentally during that time and how you were able to fight through that adversity.
Man, I can't lie to you. It was tough. Like, that's probably the first time I really was like kind of down as it relates to basketball. Because coming from my sophomore year, like the sky was the limit. Like anything, if they talked about that conference, they talked about me, they talked about DeMond, player of the year, whatever. Like we were two of the best in that conference. And to be ready to now take another jump, and all that's on my mind is the NBA. To get hurt, man, I had never been that low before, and because I had never been there, I didn't really know how to do it, and I was mad. Like I was walking around angry, like people talking to me, I'm ready to fight. Like it was my coach. I remember Coach Mahaly being like sitting down with me one time, and this is why, I love Coach so much, because it was more than basketball to him. He was just like, man, what's wrong with you? Like, we really got to like figure out what's going on. Like, I even left and I went home for maybe 2 weeks, like during the season. And he was like, man, you just need to go and get your mind. Like, I was ready to like just quit, because I'm like, man, I'm poised to have this good year, it's high expectations, and I just get hurt. Like I had never been hurt before. I didn't know how to deal with it. So I went home, was with my parents for like a week or two, but the whole time all I'm doing is like talking to my teammates and wishing I was back, and still a part of me like not wanting to go back, because I'm just like, man, I can't do that. I don't want to be there. And I remember my mom like talking to me, and she was like, so are you on the team? Like, do you play for Niagara, or is this just about you?
Right.
And it made me think and really look like you are being selfish. Like, even though you're hurt and you felt like you wanted to do something, you were part of something bigger. and you've always been a captain, and you've always been a leader, and now because you hurt, you're gonna turn your back on your team. So that conversation, it changed everything. I went back, I apologized to coach, I asked him could I talk to the team, I apologized to the team like as a whole, and we kind of moved forward. And I was just like with a new mindset and a new attitude, I was ready to just come back and contribute. But again, I think it prepared me for what I would face later on in life.
All right, man. So you dealt with the rockiness of the junior season. You came out on the other side, and going into your senior year. I read the article, and you said you had kind of a slow start. You said you might have been putting too much pressure on yourself at the beginning of the season. You think you might have felt like you needed to overcompensate and make up for lost time, from the previous year?
Oh yeah, I definitely did, and I forced it a lot. 'Cause I was like, man, it was a down year. I didn't really play, as well as I wanted to, as much as I wanted to because of the injury. So all I was thinking about was the get back, like remind them who you were your sophomore season. So I forced and I pressed, and coach was good about kind of letting me deal with that and work my way through it. Like he still kind of calmed me down a little bit, but he knew where I was and he knew why I was doing this. So he kind of he let me get the kinks out. He let me like work through it, and then kind of midway through a little earlier than that, it was, it kind of worked itself out. But I was pressing. I was like, man, they gonna remember. He talking down. They talking about all these other people I think I'm better than. Like I'm about to show y'all. So it started off a little rocky, but it smoothed itself out.
So that senior season, I feel like it was kind of pretty much a new beginning for you, even though it was like the end of your college career. Because of course you had the setbacks the junior year. And then I think Damon was gone by that time, right?
Yeah.
So now you're the guy. Was being the main guy uncomfortable for you, or like did you have to kind of readjust some things?
Nah, it was cool, man. Cause the younger guys, man, we had James Reeves, we called him Moot. He was one of our big men. He was really good. Juan Mendez, he's from Canada. He was good. We had a point guard come in, Alvin Cruz. Tramel Darden, he played overseas a lot of years. Rossi Kern, one of my really good friends, he lives in Houston. So we had a good team. They were just younger, but I think what helped is we were so tight off the court. Like we hung out all the time. Like we was always in each other's room. We stayed in the same dorm. So to me, being more of a big brother to them and having a leadership role and figuring out how to like get through to each one, because I might have to like yell at Mook and almost fight him, whereas somebody else, like we had some guys that were from overseas, like this guy Christos, he's from Greece. Like I gotta really just pat him on the back and like, man, it's gonna be okay, don't worry about it. So it helped me develop into more of a leader. And for Coach Mahalik, I was like a coach on the court, because now the same way he has to deal with so many different personalities, I was doing the same thing as a captain, and it's helping me still today. Like we have kids on our team that you gotta yell at, you gotta constantly be on. And then there's other ones you just pull to the side, like, hey man, you gotta do it. Like you just explain stuff different, and it's tough love, and then it's explaining this, and it just helped me like grow as a person and a player to know, man, you can't just treat everybody the same. Like even my 3 kids, I can't treat all of them the same. I gotta talk to them different. So basketball, man, like people think it's just a game, but it's life. Like you're really learning things that's gonna help you later on, like then and then later on in life that you'll always use. And I feel like if I was never in some of these positions, I wouldn't be able to help the people that's closest to me and my family and my friends and the kids that we have here at DeMatha and that's graduated. Like it wouldn't have happened. So all of that stuff, especially that senior year where I was like the guy and I was responsible and everything's falling on me, like it helped prepare me for life, and it helped me grow up. It really did.
So you still had a successful college career, but did you were you kind of upset that you didn't get no NCAA tournament action?
Yeah, I was, man. We lost in the semifinals of a game we definitely should not have lost to Siena. I still feel like they did something, man. We were playing well in the first half, and all of a sudden the lights go out. Like,
oh man!
And it's a delay. We go back to the locker room. Man, that's not why we lost, but we go to the locker room for like 30, 40 minutes, man. Like our momentum is gone. I probably had like 20 something in the first half. Like I'm knocking down threes. Like I'm going crazy in that joint. And then the lights go out and everything stops. And then we come back and we still in the game. We going back and forth. And we ended up losing. We lost by like 3. And man, I cried. Like, I ain't like cry because I had to go in the locker room and talk to the younger guys. And I had to give them a speech to prepare them for the next season. So even still, like as bad as I felt and as much as I just wanted to break down, I had them on my mind when I walked back in that locker room. And I had to force myself again to like, all right, man, you dealt with adversity, you got knocked down, like you feel a certain way, but you can't stay there. It's always, just like coaches say, next play. It's always like the next play. It's always the next thing. And for me, it was walking in that locker room and not having them think, all right, well, next year y'all can't win. So even though I was pissed that we lost and I was hurt, my whole mindset was go in there and talk to them and give them something where they're going to win next year, where they don't feel like you feel. Like don't, and that's that's always my thing. I want the best for people. And if I feel something and I go through something, I don't want that next person to have to go through it. So I know how bad I felt, and the guys that were going to be seniors next year, I wanted them to win, man. So it hurt like hell, but I mean, it's part of the game. Like, you're not going to win every game, but I feel like when you lose, you learn more about yourself than when you win.
Absolutely. Yeah, like you grow through adversity, man.
Absolutely.
If everything's peachy keen all the time, then how do you know how tough you are?
Right.
You know? Just, if you can, give me one word to summarize your college career.
Blessed. Blessed.
Yeah. So, you finish up your 4 years in Niagara. Those 4 years, it's like a storybook. You come in as a freshman behind a highly touted player. You explode your sophomore year, kind of have a setback your junior year, and you rebound your senior year. So post-college, like, what were your thoughts? Were you having conversations regarding like NBA prospects, or was it just mainly like focused towards overseas?
It was all NBA. I didn't know about overseas. It's nothing I ever talked about with my family, my brother. Like, none of it. Like, all we talked about was the NBA. So even with Coach Mahalik, like, that's all I talked to him about was the NBA. And so when he mentioned to me about overseas, I was like, what you mean? Like, it's the NBA, and then you go get a job. Like, it's one or the other. Like, whatever he talking about. So he talked to me about it. He talked to me about getting agents and like how people were making money. I'm like, man, it's a whole nother world that I had no idea about. Like, I had one track mind from little. You know what I mean? Like, I wanted to be an NBA player. I never grew up saying I wanted to be like Tony Kukoc. I didn't know who he was. Like, you wanted to be like Mike. You trying to go to the NBA. Don't nobody know about him overseas. So, I mean, when he told me about it, I looked into it, and that was just a new goal of mine. I'm like, all right, bet. I'm going to go over there and kill somebody. If they not going to let me in the league, I'm going to show the people in the league. If they watch over there, they're going to be like, nah, he should be over here. So that was just another goal that drove my competitiveness. And once I got there, like, I took off. Like, and then it's funny, my first year, I hope I ain't getting ahead of you, but I went to Holland, and Damon, who I played in college with, when he graduated, he went overseas and he played in Belgium.
Okay.
And I went to Holland my first year, and we ended up being on the same team.
Damn.
So again, like, just like high school, and that's why I say blessed, because like, I feel like God just kind of orchestrated stuff. I had an idea of what I wanted to do and how I wanted things to go. But like, here, my friends came here, and it made it a smooth transition for me. In college, I didn't know anybody at the time, but Akbar Waheed was there. He was a senior my freshman year, and he went to Gonzaga.
Okay.
Which, you know how the math in Gonzaga was, but it's a guy, he was from here. So it's like he kind of took me under his wing. And Jeremiah Johnson, he was from here too. He was from Virginia, but it helped me kind of move in a little smoother. Even with Alvin, he wasn't from here, but he was just a cool dude. So my transitions were always smooth, man. Even there was new beginnings and new places, it was always people there to kind of welcome me and kind of helped me out and helped me make that transition. And playing overseas was no different.
So, you know, on your overseas journey, who are some notable guys you played with or against, or maybe some guys that, you know, people might not know about, but that were just, you know, dogs?
I would say one guy, I was in Poland, and this guy, David Logan. I ain't know about him. I'm sure people over here didn't really know, except from like maybe where he from and where he went to college. But he was a dog. He was another guard, and I'm always looking for somebody that I feel like is going to challenge me and kind of make me raise my game to another level, and he was that dude. Like, I played against Daniel Ewing, but to me, David Logan was better. Like, Daniel Ewing, of course, he went to Duke and all that, but I feel like because David Logan didn't, maybe it made him more of a dog, but that's who I saw myself going against, and that was who I had my eye on when I was over there. Like, yeah, me and him need to match up.
What was your favorite stop?
I'll say Finland, because it was a little more like Poland. A lot of people didn't really speak English. Holland, they did. They spoke a lot of English, and of course I was with Damon, so it helped. But in Finland, it was a little different. I spent more years there, and the people were just, they were nicer. Like, everywhere I went, they loved basketball. But Finland, I still have friends over there, you know, that I played with, and people like just from the city, period, that I talk to online. Like, we're still really good friends. And it was a guy, Mark Sweet. He was on my team. He's from Philadelphia. He was in my wedding. Like, he's one of my good friends that I met over there.
Wow.
So, and it's funny, he played against Kobe in high school and that kind of stuff. Rip Hamilton and all them dudes. So, Finland to me was the best stop because of the friendships I made there. Like, competition-wise, I would say Holland and Belgium probably were, Belgium and Poland was better. I'll say Poland was the top, but everything else, Finland was the best stop for me. Even the coaches I had in Finland, they were from America. I'm still friends with them, like Carl Woodard, Tom Johnson. I had a guy, I can't forget to mention Terrence Stansbury. He was an older guy. He played in the NBA. He was in dunk contests. I don't know if you know, like the Statue of Liberty and all that. Yeah. He was on my team in Holland.
Okay.
And he was still playing. He was still dunking. He like 40 years old. Like, I'm 40 now. My knees hurting. Like, I ain't dunking nothing. But he helped me a lot my first year about how to be a professional and how to go about, you know, your business on and off the court. So I definitely had to give a shout out to Terrence Stansbury.
Heck, man, you was teammates with him, so he owned.
That made you old too, man.
And now that these youngins, they calling me old, man. I had somebody call me. I got a group of friends. We in a group chat. They call me old head, OG. Like, I'm like, how did I get here, man? But it's just, it is what it is now, man. I know they're gonna want me to mention it. So Tone, Dale, Keith, Glover, Spud, all y'all. But yeah, man, it's cool though. Like, I used to laugh when I was younger, like, look at them old dudes still trying to, and now here I am. They still can't beat me one-on-one, 3 dribbles. Don't matter, I don't lose to the players. I don't like calling names, but they know. Some of them have graduated. One of them at Miami, my man Earl. What's up, Earl? But nah, it's cool, man, because it's a good group, man, especially these guys now. Like, I enjoy it, man. I enjoy teaching. I enjoy seeing their growth and see them mature and watching their games flourish, watching them, you know, reach their goals. Like, guys like Jameer Young, Justin Moore. Like, I don't want to start naming a bunch of people, you know what I mean, because all of them are my guys, but it's good to see those. My man Hunt, Big Lucy.
So, you know, you had a pretty lengthy career overseas. You know, I think people get kind of get a misconception of what that life is. Just, you know, kind of explain, you know, some of the benefits and also some of the hardships, you know, just kind of going through that grind.
Man, the benefit is you still playing basketball, you know, and you playing it, you're a professional, you're playing at a high level, it's really good competition, and you still living out your dream. Like, the worst thing for me would have been if I had to stop after college, like, because I'm so competitive and I've always been about basketball. Like, I really don't know what I would have done. So the benefit was just you still chasing that dream, you still get to live it out, you still get to compete, but it's always a downside. And mentally, if you're not there, it's gonna be tough for you. Like you talking about being away from your family for 10 months. Now that's a long time. And now all you got is basketball.
Right.
You gotta kind of figure it out on your own. Like you got agents, but you still the one going through it. Like you practicing twice a day some places. So you practice, you might take a nap, you practice, then you go to sleep, you hang out, you wake up the next day. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a grind, man. And you gotta mentally be prepared. You gotta really want it, because I've been through it, and I was on teams where we didn't get paid.
Damn.
So like you gonna tell me I'm gonna sign a contract? Like you signed it as a team and I signed it, so we got an agreement. But you know they get money from sponsors, so it might be times where, man, your team ain't winning, and the sponsors like, man, I'm not paying for that. I'm paying to win the championship, and they'll cut it off. And now what you supposed to do?
Right.
So like you might be there for 3-4 months, and you still got 6 months left, or you might have been there for 6 months and you ain't been paid in 4 months. So what you gonna do? Like you gonna leave? You gonna stay there? You gonna try to sue the team? That ain't about to happen. Like I still got teams that owe me a lot of money. Like a lot of them, and I still think about it. But it's like, it's stuff like that you don't see that side, because when you see overseas basketball, all you see is a game.
Right.
And you see these people out here, they compete and they playing, you hear about how much money you make, but you don't hear about how much money you didn't get. Or how this team might not have paid you for a whole year. Like it's a lot that goes into that overseas stuff, man. And if you ain't careful, like it can take advantage of you. And today is totally different. Like when I first went, this way back in 2002, like we had to, as players, we kind of ran the market. So we were getting paid a lot, and there wasn't a whole lot of people that knew or were trying to go over there because of that grind. And then once people found out, man, everybody wanted to go. And now if you paying me $50,000 a month, but you will come over there for $3,000 a month, what you think the team gonna do? So now it's like, all right, man, you might have made 20 last year, but we only gonna offer you 7. You like, what?
Right.
All right, we're gonna take the next dude. So it messed the market up once it got kind of oversaturated. So now you even dealing with that as a player. Like, man, I was used to getting this, and now you want me to get that, or now you fighting to get this same amount. So mentally, I think more than anything is the toughest part about being overseas, because it's not like the NBA where if somebody ain't getting paid, everybody gonna know about it. Everybody be like, why they ain't paying this dude? He got a guaranteed contract. So it's the unseen side of overseas basketball that's dirty. It's tough. And if people come home early because they can't deal with it. Like maybe you can't live without getting paid for 3 months. You know what I'm saying? Like some people can't do that. So that grind of overseas is totally different. And if you don't go through it, I don't think they get the same amount of respect as they should. It's tough. It's not as easy as people think.
Yeah, I think you hit it on the head. People think it's, if I can't make the league, I'm gonna just go overseas. It's not that easy, man. And then once you get there, you probably not gonna want to stay because you have this preconceived notion that it's going to be easier. When in actuality, the NBA might be easier if you can get in.
The NBA definitely.
But it's only 450 jobs. So, I mean, yeah, but it's not like people haven't heard the horror stories. I didn't play and I've heard them.
Right.
But coming from somebody that experienced it firsthand, maybe, that would shed a little light on it, because, I really do think people believe that that's a safety net fallback option when that's really the furthest thing from the case.
I mean, I was blessed to play 8 years, and my last year, I could have kept playing, but I was in that situation where the team wasn't paying me. And I was married at the time, and my wife had just had a daughter like that year, during that season in January, and I wasn't there. So I missed it because I was overseas playing, had the worst game I ever had the day she was born, because all I'm thinking about is my daughter's being born. I played terrible. On top of that, I'm not getting paid, so I was just like, I can't do that, man. I got a family to take care of, a family to provide for, and in hindsight, I kind of wish maybe I didn't, but at that time, that was my focus. Like when I'm
Right.
focused on something, like that's just how I am. And I didn't want to go through another year of possibly not getting paid and being away from my family again. So like I said, if people want to go that route, you can do it, but you better mentally be prepared to do it.
So, you know, it sounds like your retirement was kind of abrupt. Would you say that?
It was, absolutely.
So with that being said, you know, what did you already have an idea what you wanted to do after basketball, or you just kind of started from square one and had to figure it out?
I was starting from square one. I ain't had no idea. All my life, even as a young kid, like my brothers, they had jobs. Like they were teenagers with jobs. They working at Wild World, they working somewhere. My parents had them working. And here I am, the baby who they think is already spoiled. Like, I'm like, what's my job? What I want to do? They're like, you gonna play basketball. You know what I mean? And I'm like, that's it. And I'm doing chores in the house, and my brother's paying me to clean up their room, and they mad, and my parents not there. They beating me up because they gotta go to work. Like, basketball was my life. That's all I ever did. That's all I wanted to do. So now trying to figure out, what am I gonna do? I got a wife, I got a kid. I put on a job application, I ain't got no work experience. Like, what can ain't nobody trying to hire me because I don't have, I'm like, I've been doing something, but you don't have no experience. So it's starting from square one, starting from scratch. It was tough. It was really tough for me mentally, trying to figure out like what I'm gonna do, still being competitive, still being like in my third, like I was young. I wasn't like I was 40 like now, like I was young. So I was 30 years old. So it was an adjustment, but as with anything with me, man, I just adjust. I roll with the punches, I figure it out. I'm a worker, that's all I know how to do, so I'm gonna grind it out. No matter what it takes, how long it takes, I'm gonna just grind. So that's what I did.
So, you know, you eventually did find your way in the NBA, you know, just, you know, not in the playing capacity, but just how did that
Scouting situation come about?
Morgan Wooten, we had a conversation like you and I are having, and I still was at that time just trying to figure things out, man, because I had different jobs and I never had a 9 to 5, so of course I'm not trying to work. Like, working 9 to 5 to me was boring. I'm sitting there like, what am I doing with my life? And him and I talked, and I told him what I wanted to do, and you know, it was partly training, it was scouting, and even that part I still wasn't sure of. I just wanted to be around basketball.
Right.
And he was like, all right, well, I'm gonna make a call. And that's how Coach Wooten was. Like, he cared about everybody, and I was one of the ones, like, I always checked on him and, you know, trying to make sure he was all right. And this is kind of off the subject, but it's just who he is. I remember us talking about it, and I think I was like, he wanted me to give him something. It might have been my resume or whatever. I'm like, all right, well, I'm about to email it to you. He was like, no. Here's my address. You're going to print it out, and you're going to mail it. I'm like, Coach, you don't know what year this is, man. Like, I'm telling you, you can have it immediately. Like, I know you want it. Like, this is going to make things go a little quicker. He was like, Daryl, print it out. And I was like, all right, Coach, fine. Like, I'm going to do it. And I did it, and he made a call. He called Danny Ferry, who was the GM at the time. Danny and I didn't know each other, never heard of each other. Well, of course, I heard of him. He probably didn't know who I was, but it was off the strength of Coach Wooten that I even got that interview. Now, when I got there, I think I did well. It could have just been Coach might have told him, you better do this. Like, I don't know, but I just know me and Danny spoke on the phone. He said, when you can make it out here. I got in the car, and I drove that next weekend out to Atlanta, and it just happened from there. We sat down, we talked about it, and he allowed me to be here because he knew I just had a family. And I just kind of did my scouting from here. I traveled and all of that. And again, in hindsight, I kind of wish I had stayed, because I would have built a better relationship with him and like everybody within the organization. Because you know how the NBA is, when new people come in, they bring people with them. And when the coach that I was there with, when he was shipped out, and the new guy, Budenheiser, I think that's how you say it, he came in, Budenheiser, whatever it is, he didn't keep me, so whatever his name is. But he brought in people, which that's how the game is. That was my 1 year in Atlanta. Like, I was just like, I kind of wish I had just moved out there and just stepped out a little more in faith instead of worrying about, all right, I don't want to leave my family
Right,
and
yeah,
that
yeah.
kind of thing. But I'm a family guy. Like that's the decision I made. I live with it, and I'm grateful for that opportunity. Like I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the experience. I met a few people that I still talk to. So I can't take that back. I wouldn't take that back.
Yeah, man, like, it's, you live and you learn, and hindsight is 2020, but, seeing as how, you value family so much, you probably wouldn't have been able to kind of lock in how you wanted to if you was away.
Absolutely.
So, like, doing it remotely was probably the best option for you. Just, like you spoke about being overseas, being tapped in mentally was the most important
thing.
Absolutely.
Probably did wonders for
your
you.
mental, just being around your family and still, being able to perform that job.
Best of both worlds.
Mm-hmm.
Best of both worlds.
So, like, how did you even know that
Scouting is something you wanted to do? Like, what clicked in your mind that was a step you wanted to take?
Probably because in college, like I was, how they give you scouting reports and stuff like that. Like I was into it.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like I wanted to know, like, why this dude did this or how he did that, or like I would evaluate the people that I'm playing against. Like, how good is this dude? And I would watch film, I would look at the scouting report, and I would really like scout players. And I could tell you who was good enough to play in the NBA. So like for me it was kind of natural to do the same thing. Like I believe I have a good eye for talent. I can see like mannerisms and work ethic and just different things within players and kind of gauge like where they'll fall in, like whatever, the NBA, overseas, that kind of thing. So it's always intrigued me. I probably didn't think about it in college that way, but as I was older, I was like, yeah, this is something I could see myself doing.
Like I feel like, people would probably say that's something that came secondhand to you as a point guard. But, I feel like just as a basketball player, you should be in tune with the game like that.
Yeah.
Just kind of know that everything that's going on.
Absolutely.
Because if you're on the court and you're just oblivious to certain things, then, you're not accessing 90% of what's going on around you.
Right.
So, but in that same vein, do you believe that, having a point guard responsibility kind of lent to that career pathway?
Yeah, absolutely. Because as a point guard, like, you got to know every position on the floor. It's like a quarterback. So if I don't know what everybody else on the floor is supposed to be, like, how can I run that play? You know what I mean? Or if somebody's running the play wrong, I got to tell them, nah, you need to be over here. Or you go screen. Whereas a 5-man, not to take anything away from somebody that plays a different position, like you're just thinking about, all right, I'm in the paint, I need to go screen, or I need to rebound. Point guard, you gotta be you're the coach on the floor. Like you gotta be the most vocal person. That's why I talk so much in practice. Like it's just who I am. Like when I'm on the court, I'm loud, I'm talking. If I'm on the bench, I'm loud, I'm talking. It's just like that's what it is as a point guard. You have to be that way. Now off the court, I might not say 2 words to you if I don't know you, because I'm a reserved type people, and people that know me gonna say I'm not. But until I really know you, like I'm a reserved dude. But being a point guard, it definitely helped in that vein.
Yeah, I mean, no, I definitely
get that. I'm the same way, man. Like, once you get in your
element, your whole personality comes out.
Absolutely.
But other than that, some people just kind of want their space and just like to, stay in the background and mind their business.
Yep, that's me.
So I mean, ain't no shade to you social butterflies out there, but
yeah, y'all do your thing, man.
Just
leave me out of it. Do your thing, have fun.
So, what did you learn about the NBA just kind of being behind the curtain like that? Or what were some things you kind of thought was going on that you kind of just got a different viewpoint on?
I kind of saw why some players are better than others. And it's just the time they spend in the gym. And it's just like you see why you have superstars and then you got people that don't really play that much. Like it's the mentality and it's the approach. Of course, it's a talent level too. Like some people are just way more talented, but you'll see the different ways. Some people are just happy to be there. Some people like, man, I ain't never letting this go because I never had anything. You know what I mean? Like, it's just the different things and that you'll notice if you're really paying attention in a different level of players, and even like coaches and management, the way they kind of see players, you don't really get to see that, because when you're on the court, like if they winning, they high fiving or whatever, but behind the scenes, some stuff is totally different, man. You'll be surprised that the conversations that happen about players and how players are talked about. And I was kind of taken back at first, like, hold up, man, like these still people, and these still players in your organization or other organizations. Like, they talk about some people dirty, man, and it's a dirty, it can be in some aspects kind of bad business, but for the most part, man, like if you just go in there and you working and you ain't like being extra, or if you're gonna be extra, you better be one of the good ones. I tell you that. That's another thing I noticed. Like some stuff, some of the BS, you can get away with it if you top tier, but if you just barely made it, you better walk a straight and narrow, and don't. You better walk a fine line. It is a hierarchy in the NBA. I can tell you that much.
Yeah, I mean, just like any professional setting.
Any professional.
Like, it's nothing different. NBA still a job.
Yep.
Who was what? So was Joe Johnson there when you were there?
Was Joe there? Josh Smith was there when I was there. Teague was there. I don't think, was Joe there? I can't remember. He might have been there. I don't even know. But I think like Josh Smith was like one of the guys.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Josh Smith was like one of the guys there.
But this because I know they had a down period. Was this a time when they weren't winning a lot?
Yeah, they were doing good.
Okay, they were successful.
Yeah, they was all right. They had like that year. I don't know if they really completely met expectations, and that's why the coach wasn't there no more. But they had a decent team. They had a good team. Yeah.
So what? Just talk about some of your contributions during your time there. Like what were your responsibilities? Like, did you were you able to offer any advice in terms of drafting or trades and stuff like that?
Absolutely, yeah. Like that was like part of my responsibility. Like I was on the East Coast, so I would travel along the East Coast like I would go to the Wizards games, but I would travel to like the college campuses on the East Coast. Like that was my region. So just trying to find different players that fit like what Atlanta was trying to do, and like we were looking for kind of like a stretch forward man, a little bit like a big man, and Mike Muscala was one of the guys that I ended up seeing when he was in college. That was one of the guys we mentioned and that we had on our board, and they actually ended up drafting him, which was kind of crazy because I wasn't there no more. But I mean, that was like one of the things, and at that time, Markel Starks was at Georgetown.
Okay.
That's kind of like a little brother to me. Like me and Renard are good friends. That's his little brother, and me and Renard went here, of course. We played against each other since we were younger, middle school. We played together in high school, played against each other at AAU. So he was like one of the guys I was pushing, man. I wanted Atlanta to draft him. So some stuff just don't work out, but I feel like they did, to an extent, they value my input. Because they took one of the guys, like that was one of the guys on my board. So it was just, sometimes it don't work out. They even told me, like, you did a good job, but we're not gonna be able to keep you. And in my mind, I'm like, tell me I did terrible and just fire me. Like, don't tell me how good I did and break up with me. So, but it was like it's just still a part of like the journey. Like if I was still with them, like some of the stuff I'm doing today, I wouldn't have been able to do. And some of the lives I'm able to positively affect, I wouldn't be doing it. So even in setbacks and things that, like I said, may not seem fair on the outside, I feel like it's always a part of your purpose and part of God's plan, so it work out.
Right. So I mean, even though your stint there was short, just talk about how it feels to be able to operate at the highest level of basketball. Being that that's been your dream since you was yay high. Just talk about how I felt to finally be in the NBA.
It was great. I remember when Danny called me, I was home, and they had made a decision. I went out there for the interview. He was like, we'll talk to you, we'll get back to you or whatever. And he calls me and he's like, all right, man, like, here's the deal. And he told me I was gonna be a scout. And he was like, but Like, don't try out. Like, I know how you are. I was like, nah, don't worry about it. In my mind, I was like, dang, man. But like, I remember getting that call, and I was happy. I hung up. I told my wife, Nicole, at the time, you know, she could see my excitement, and I just couldn't wait to tell my parents. And at first, I kind of hesitated. I was like, man, I ain't playing. Like, my dream was to play because I was going to take care of them. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right, yeah.
all of that. But I called my dad, and they were together because they never apart, and they on speakerphone. I called my brother on three-way, and like, I gotta talk to y'all. And they was like, what's up, what's going on? Because we're really tight. Like, our family is really tight. And I was like, I made it. And they was like, you made what? I was like, the NBA. And I was like, you playing? Like, my dad is going through the roof. I was like, wait, Dad, wait. Like, because he thought I was better than anybody in the world. Like, when I didn't go to the NBA, it might have been a good 4 or 5 years he refused to watch the NBA because he thought I should have been playing. Like, that's the kind of dude he is. But man, they was happy. Like, we cried on the phone together because that was a dream of ours. Like, the NBA was a dream of ours. So even though I wasn't playing, I still accomplished that goal, and I achieved that goal, and like, that dream was fulfilled, man. It was great. It was just like I played. Like, I was excited, and that's why I worked so hard at, you know, what I was doing, because I felt like I belonged there. Even though I wasn't playing, like, I'm still in the NBA, I'm doing this. I felt like I was the best scout. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, that's my mentality. So I was happy about it.
Yeah, so you said, you know, you haven't not have stuck around in the league, you get opportunity to do some other things. Let's kind of talk about them other things, man. You got your green light shirt on.
Yeah, man.
To get into that, man. What's this green light shooting about?
It's something that took a while, man, but I feel like I'm one of the best shooters that's played. You know what I'm saying? This area, wherever. I don't think there's many people that can shoot the ball better than I can. And I know the type of work I put in because of that. Like, being shorter, even playing overseas, like, it's NBA sized dudes over there.
Right.
So I'm 6 feet, 6'1" on a good day playing against them dudes. So I had to have some sort of an advantage. Like, I felt like I was tougher than a lot of dudes. I feel like my IQ wise, I was smarter than a lot of people, but in basketball, I feel like you need to do something really well. And shooting was just it. Like, I would work out, I would make 500 shots. I wouldn't shoot 500, I would make 500 shots. I worked tirelessly at it. My guy, Leslie Ballard, he still trains. He got BSI Fitness. He's one of my best friends. Like, him and I worked out together. Like, he would train me sometimes when I was playing. Like, we would just work out. He would train me. And there were times where I worked out alone, and I would still make those 500 shots. You know, my guy Barry Aberdeen would work out with me, and I would make him make 500 shots with me. So it was like, that's what I focused on. Like, again, like, it's just, for me, it's focus. And when I'm focused on something, I'm gonna do it. And I said, I'm gonna be the best shooter. I don't care who else is out there. Even to this day, you line me up with anybody, you might need to give me a little more time now, because I don't shoot every day. But if somebody gonna beat me, they better be somebody like in the NBA that's shooting and working out every single day. So that's what green light shooting is about. Like, when you play, you want that green light. You want the coach to have that confidence that I can take whatever shot. And I've studied the game and the art of shooting so much, I feel like I can teach anybody how to shoot. And especially if you're gonna listen to me and you're gonna take the things I say to heart, you're gonna be a better shooter. And that's what this is about. Like, helping guys be better players, grow confidence, and like, shoot better. But like, it's a mental piece to it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I feel like basketball is great. Basketball can open up a lot of doors for you, but what are you gonna do when you get through those doors? Like, it's my pastor says stuff. My pastor Mike Freeman, he talks about it, and like, your talent taking you places where your character can't keep you. And you never want to be one of those people. You never want to be so talented that they'll throw the world at you and they give you everything, but then you just a dirtbag. Like, you're a bad person, or you can't handle adversity, or you treat people bad because they're not as good as you. Like, those are the kind of things that green light shooting is about. It's not just about, oh, you're gonna be the best shooter. No, you're gonna be a better person. Like, you're gonna be able to shoot, but my goal is for you to be a better person. Each and every person I come in contact with, I want you to be better. So you can go and you can achieve your goals and your dreams, and you can have longevity there. You don't want to get there and have a year or two and now I don't like this dude. Like, if you work out with me or you're around me, I want people to say certain things about you. Like, you're respectful, you're honest, you're trustworthy. Like, those are kind of things that, and like, you're filled with faith. Like, I'm a big faith guy. Like, green light shooting was built on faith. So those are things that are close to me and that I try to instill in the people that I come in contact with and that I train.
Yeah, man. So those are some good points you brought up, and like, when I kind of think about the basketball landscape,
It's like a training phenomenon now. Like, so, and your approach is different than a lot of people. I feel like, and just speaking frankly, a lot of trainers are in it for themselves and not actually for the clients they're serving. So, like, how do you kind of navigate that space when there's so many people just trying to, get a leg ahead and just in it for selfish reasons? Like, how do you, because you have a resume that's second to none. You got played D1 overseas. You've been around the NBA. But, I don't see you just kind of throwing that around a lot, as opposed to some other people who might, or some other people who might lie, so
absolutely.
How do you just operate in that space and make sure that you're still operating with integrity? And do you feel like you've, kind of lost out on some opportunities because of, of how you decide to move?
Yeah, I think so. But it's just my personality, man. I'm not a talk about myself kind of guy. Like, even this, like, you my man, so this is something that I'll do, but I don't like talking about myself, because I'd rather like help other people. And even some of my friends are like, you have to, like, in order for what you want to do and the heart that you have to help people, you kind of need to be more in the forefront, because there's so many people that's just doing it for the wrong reasons. Like, they're trying to make money, they want to be known for, I made this guy or that. Like, it's so much about them, and sometimes it's because they didn't accomplish other things. It's not like I'm trying to talk down on anybody. Like, everybody goes through stuff, it's different reasons, but I feel like now trainers, they want the recognition more than they want to help the players. And I don't care if you know who I train or how much I train these people. I don't think I need to broadcast it. Like, I'll see other people talk about certain players, and I laugh, because I'm like, you might have trained them twice, you know what I'm saying, or whatever. But that's just how it is. And one of my good friends, he a chef, Sammy Davis. He owns Milk and Honey.
Okay.
He tells me, or he's told me before, like, you got to speak up. Like, you got to be more bold in who you are, because you have accomplished a lot. But I don't like people that do that. And he was kind of trying to explain to me, it's not bragging, but your resume will speak for itself, and sometimes people need to know that, because they need to be around certain people, or their kids need to be around certain people. So, when you think of it in that aspect of, you could be saving somebody from getting screwed over by working with somebody who just wants your money, or if you make it, they want something on the back end. Like, you work out with me, you don't owe me nothing. Like, nobody will ever owe me anything. I'll never lay claim. I have 3 kids. Wisdom Green, Daryl Jr., and Legend Green. Like, I'm not gonna claim somebody else's kids. I'm not gonna say that's my kid. Like, I don't even know how people do that, because those kids have parents. You know what I mean? Like, I get you train or you help, but those aren't your kids. And I think people get lost in wanting to be so connected, as opposed to just giving them what they need to just go on and succeed at the next level. But you really got to be sure of yourself to do that. Like, you got to be confident in who you are, and can't nobody tell me I'm not who I think I am. You know what I'm saying? So for me, I ain't tripping off recognition or who knows who I've helped, but I do feel like, because of how I am, I've missed out on maybe certain opportunities, or I haven't trained certain players because I don't go asking people. Like, I'm not gonna say, hey, can I come train you? Or, hey, I don't do that. Like, if somebody wants to work out, yeah, I'll do it. If I got the time, you gonna put in the work, we're gonna work. Now I have to be a little more selective because of my time and because of my children, but I mean, I'm a no ego, no pride type of dude, and a lot of that I think comes from working with Jones, Coach Jones. Like, he's that way. Like, people look at him and, you know, he is who he is. He's one of the greatest coaches in the country. I think he's the greatest high school coach right now. Like, he came behind Coach Wooten,
Right.
and he's able to sustain something that, like a legacy of Coach Wooten's style, like, that's unheard of. You know what I mean? And for him to be a humble guy and to be a Team USA guy and all of that, like, you can't help but you rub shoulders with him every day, like, be the same way. It's not a time I can call or text and he don't respond to me. You know what I'm saying? So if he can be that type of person and he's looked at all over the world and the country, like, how could I, you know what I'm saying? So that's like being around is, again, it's the math, it's the brotherhood, it's iron sharpening iron. Like, you gotta put yourself in certain environments. And that's what I tell the kids, like, you wanna be in environments where you're gonna be challenged, where somebody is ahead of you, somebody's where you wanna be, but they're still humble. And you can still learn from them and they're not looking down on you. You know what I mean? So, like, those type of values are something I cherish and I respect. You know, I'm big on respect, and I'm always gonna respect you, and I respect the way people move. So I try to do the same thing and try to be as, you know, as respectable and honest as I can with people, and I move how I move, man. I don't need an entourage, I don't need a group, I don't need to be a part of a group. I'll do it solo as long as I know I'm making a difference in kids' lives, they're getting better, they're achieving goals, but more importantly, off the court, they're who they're supposed to be. They can fulfill their purpose, they can find their purpose, they can know God. Like, I'm cool with that. Like, the money and all that, it'll be down the road. I've had money, like, that don't impress me. I need to know I'm making a difference and I'm changing people's lives.
All right, so just want to talk about, you know, the basketball aspect of the training specifically. Like, you know, how do you, like you said, man, you're one of the best shooters I've ever seen. How do you temper those expectations with your
Clients, because everybody's not going to be able to shoot like you. I don't care how many
shots they put up?
Right.
So how do you kind of, how do you move
forward in that aspect, knowing like what you're capable of and that kind of projecting it onto them and having to move at their own pace?
It's tough sometimes because you want them to be, you know, what you were or shoot as good as you, but like you said, you gotta know, like, it's a difference. And just like if I'm a captain and I gotta talk to each player a certain way to get the most out of them, it's the same thing with my clients. Like, I know you're gonna be taking certain shots or you're gonna be taking certain shots, you know what I mean? So everything is catered to them. Even if I'm working out a group of 3 or 4 people, they're doing the same thing, but I'm critiquing certain things differently. Like, this person, you need to shoot higher. This one, you need to hold your follow through. You need to be on balance. Your legs aren't balanced. You know what I'm saying? Your feet are off. Get your shoulders squared. So it's different things that you're gonna go through in teaching people, because you can't just teach everybody the same. And you can't make everybody do the same workout. You can't have everybody take the same shots. So you really have to study your craft. Like, I spend a lot of time, like, looking at players, looking at their games that people don't even know I'm doing, but I'm catering things just for you, because you might not shoot as good as me, but you're not gonna come in here day 1 and then day 50 you're shooting the same.
Right.
You know what I mean? So my goal is always to just see progression. To see progression. I don't put a cap on it, I don't put a limit on it, I don't say it has to be this. My goal is progression. As long as I know you're getting better and you can see it and it's translating into the game, I know I'm doing my job.
All right, man. So, you know, we covered your playing career and, you know, went into post playing a little bit, but this is something I've really been wanting to talk to you about since it happened. Man, how did you feel when you got that Hall of Fame call?
It was crazy, because that ain't nothing I ever thought about. Even when I first started playing as a young kid, when I really got good, I never thought about being in the Hall of Fame of any sort. You know what I'm saying? So it was just the NBA and just playing basketball and being the best I could be at it. So when they called me, I got an email, and the first time it was Niagara, they was just like, you know, we need to talk to you, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, all right, cool. I called the dude. He told me about it, and I was like, what? Like the Hall of Fame? Like you serious? And I ain't gonna lie, I was a Bama. I was hype about it. I didn't want to let him know, but I was like, that's all right, man. Like people kind of appreciating what you've done,
Right.
you know what I mean, and what you've contributed to certain things. So it was humbling. It was, even to this day, man, it kind of seemed unreal. You talking about a little kid from Largo, Maryland, who just loved to play the game of basketball, go to Niagara that I never even heard about, be inducted into their Hall of Fame, and then to be like in the Naismith Hall of Fame, like actually have my name up there where I can see it and other people can go see it.
Right.
Like we've had our team, we've played out there before, so some of the players have seen it. Like my godson, Jaden, he got a chance to see it, I mean, he's here now actually, and he's like my son, you know what I'm saying? So like, to have certain people see those things, and my parents, they went out with me to the ceremony. My kids went, my two best friends, Gerald and Dan, went. Coach Mahalik was there. My reflexologist from college, it's kind of funny. She was there, her and her husband came. Miss Marge and Jack Skinner, like they took care of me while I was out there. They didn't have children, and I was like an adopted child to them, you know what I mean? So to have that call, to actually go there and have a ceremony, it was unreal. Like I didn't expect it, I never thought about it. Even talking about it now to you is like, it's weird, man. It's weird to have played against so many people, to have known so many great players, and like I'm the one that's there. Like it means something to me, you know what I mean? And not in a cocky way. It's just in a thankful and grateful way. Like so many people have played and are deserving to have their name there, and for God to choose me. It's hard not to, like I ain't gonna do it now, but it's hard not to be emotional about it, you know. And it's certain times I reflect on it, or my friends like Gerald to say something sometimes like, man, you a Hall of Famer. Like, it's wild, man. It's wild to say it, but I'm just grateful, I'm blessed. And like certain times where I think about not playing in the NBA, where I know I was good enough, and I played against people that's played in the NBA and they've told me I was good enough. Like things like that kind of solidify things where even if this doesn't work out or you didn't achieve this, man, it's always even more that God has in store for you. Because if I'd have played in the NBA, maybe I would have never even been there. Like who knows? But I'm there, and I'm just thankful. Again, I'm humbled. It's just crazy, man, and it's a great, because my kids know, you know what I'm saying? Like, and they talk about it, and it's crazy.
Yeah, man. So now we're sitting here, you know, you're back at DeMatha as a coach. You know, you planted your flag here as a player. Like, just what does it mean to you to be able to add to the legacy just of the program in general?
Man, DeMatha is like, it's almost like for sports, you can't go nowhere in the world and somebody don't know DeMatha. You know what I'm saying? And like, man, it's crazy, man. I don't know why you asked me about the Hall of Fame, man. It's crazy. Like, I feel like I wouldn't even be who I am if it wasn't for DeMatha and like the connections and the people I met, and to be here to possibly have kids I've coached have this same testimony I got is priceless, man. It's like, it's just like I know what having this name attached to you can do for you beyond basketball. And when you leave DeMatha and people laugh about it like it's all boys, man, y'all ain't even had girls and y'all blah, blah, blah. But man, life is bigger than having girls, you know what I'm saying? Or being able to talk to a girl or a woman. Like life is about make an impact and like changing people's lives, and that's what the math is about. Like that's what like our basketball family, like all of these coaches, all they care about is the kids like being great men. When they leave us, they go to college. College coaches appreciate how respectable, how hard working, the integrity that the kids come with, like the readiness to play. Like it's a place like nowhere else, man, because of the people though. You know what I'm saying? It's the people that's here that kind of drives the math and makes it the brotherhood that it is, and makes people want to come back and be a part of it. Like all of us could go somewhere else, but where else would you want to be? Like it's not about the money. Like nobody's getting rich off coaching the math. Like it's about what you can instill, and it's about the tradition and making sure that that name doesn't fall off. Like people that you get people from outside that could just want the math on their resume, but the kid's not gonna be the same. Like they're not gonna leave the same. Like the passion won't be the same. The dedication won't be the same. So man, it's a place like no other, and I'm grateful that my parents sacrificed for me to go here, because like I said, we ain't have a bunch of money. We had to pay tuition. They paid tuition, and I know they sacrificed. They don't know that, but I know they did. And if I can do the same thing and help inspire these next kids coming up, and it's just, I don't think it's no other better place basketball-wise, period. High school, college, professional, none of that. Like the guys I work with here, I think are by far the best in the country.
Yeah, man. Like, and I think, you know, the math that kind of has a stigma about it. You know, like you said, people make these jokes or whatever. But I mean, like
It's something to be said for there have only been 2 head coaches since like the 50s. Like that means something. Like it's, and
you know, and people can say they want about Mike, but
for him to take the reins
and still be here to this day, like, I mean, I don't think people really can understand it unless they experience it. So like, what if you could just give somebody a crash course on like
really what the math means, like what would you say?
I mean, they say it. We produce gentlemen and scholars, and you know, it's faith-based, it's faith-filled. Like the Mather is just, it's a family, like, and it's wholesome. You know what I'm saying? It's not like it's without challenges. Of course, everything has challenges, but it's like people are committed. You know what I'm saying? Nobody is looking to get away. Nobody's looking to get over, and they're loyal. You said it. It's been 2 coaches. Like, it's been Coach Wooten and Coach Jones, and they've been successful. Like, there's been no drop off. It's still been the same because the values, like the core values, are the same. It's based off of everything Coach Wooten did, and Coach Jones has just taken it and ran with it. And I think it really speaks to the type of people they are, because they're others minded. Like, people talk about Coach Jones, and sometimes I get mad about it because I know him personally. Like, we're really, like, we're brothers. You know what I mean? Like, he grew up in Largo. Like, I know him since I was young. So when I hear certain people or certain things about him, they don't even know like the type of dude he is. And you don't have this type of success being a bad person. Like Coach Wooten, they say all these great things about him, and he was this, he was that. Man, everything they say about Coach Wooten, they can say about Coach Jones. And I'll put my name on the line for him anytime, because I know the dude. I know the type of dude he is. I know how he helps kids in the Mather, kids that have left the Mather, and kids that have never went to the Mather. Like, that's one thing people don't like. Coach Jones cares about people. And of course, he's going all out for DeMatha, but he will never shortchange a kid. Like, he's gotten kids that don't go to DeMatha scholarship. Like, that's the kind of guy he is, and that's why he's so successful. And that's why I'm here. Like, I can't be around people who are selfish, who are just all about themselves, and who's not willing to help somebody else be better. So DeMatha is what taught us that, and taught us how to look out for each other and kind of stick together. Like, I hate to just say it because people say it, but the brotherhood, like, that's what it is, man. It's really a brotherhood. Like we look out for each other.
So, just viewing everything that you described, like in terms of what's next, like what is there an opportunity you can see that could, take you away from here, in regards to coaching or what have you?
I don't know, man. I love it here. Like my goal is, of course, training. Like green light shooting, I would love to just like only train. Like it can be NBA players, college players, whatever. Like I would love to be a guy that NBA players or teams feel like this player needs to get better and he needs to shoot better. I'm gonna send them to Daryl and green light shooting. Like, but even still, I would train them here. Like, if I wasn't on staff, the math is gonna be a part of it. I mean, even now, like you see this, but I'm always gonna have the math connect. Like to me, they're connected. So even if I'm the greatest shooting trainer in the world and I'm training NBA players, you best believe we're gonna be training at the math.
That's what's up, man. But it's the end of our time together, brother.
Appreciate you.
Definitely appreciate you, man. I feel like, you got a story to tell and people need to hear it, man. That's why, I was really anxious to get this thing done, man. I appreciate you working with me and figuring this thing out.
Man, I appreciate you, what you doing. And it's funny, even like we say, like I was talking about the kids and like seeing their growth and different things that they're doing. Like from the first time we met to seeing you now, I've seen that progression. You know what I mean? So when we talked about it, for me, it was a no-brainer. Like anytime I could see somebody moving in their vein and like operating in their purpose and I can be a part of it somehow, I'm always gonna do it, man. So I just wanna say I appreciate you, man. I respect what you're doing and I'm proud of like the progress and how I've seen you grow and what you're doing growing. Like it's priceless and like I just want to see you just keep going and even to that last piece, I know I said I would train them here, but once I get my own gym, my green light shooting gym, I'm gonna have to kind of mix it up a little bit, man, just in case. But nah, man, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you taking the time out.
Nah, man, it definitely means a lot, man. Especially, we both got kids.
Right.
It's 9 o'clock right now,
Right.
but no, this was important, man. You dropped a lot of gems, gave a lot of valuable information, and this definitely won't be the last time we do this.
I appreciate you.
Again, man, we
Just chopped it up with Daryl Greene. If y'all need some shooting training, just tell them where to find you, man.
Man, I'm on Instagram at Green Light Shooting. Just follow me. I'll follow you guys back, DM me, whatever. Yeah, and I'm here to help you. Don't think you're just gonna shoot though. You're gonna be a better person as a result of it. That's the purpose God has given me, and that's what I gotta fulfill. So.
All right, man. Again, thank you so much,
man, and that's our time, and I appreciate you guys for tuning in with us. We catch y'all next time.